Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Jacob in Wisconsin. Here to talk some Packers on this glorious Sunday, March the 9th, 2025. As we're on the eve of free agency, really excited to see what all unfolds tomorrow as the legal tampering period opens up for the National Football League and free agency. Jacob, free agency frenzy is one of my favorite times of the year, man. I absolutely love when everything starts to break loose, bang, the floodgates open. You get some tips tonight on who's looking at who, but then tomorrow as the signings start to roll in, it's a lot of fun. And as we've seen in the past, man, seems like Goody, when he wants a free agent, he goes and gets them right there on that first day, gets it out of the way, and then does a little bit of bargain shopping on the backside. But what do you think, man? Are you excited about free agency here?
I am, yeah. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much because obviously Packer fans know that more times than not, free agency comes and goes, and we really don't do much at all. But I do think this could be a unique year. We're going to dive into some of these free agents that are available right now. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. I definitely am. Working with this podcast has definitely changed my perspective on the off season, where it used to be just a dreaded time of like barren wasteland where there was no content, nothing to do. Now you're really dialed in almost 24/7. I mean, the whole year there's always something going on. I think that's a good thing that we've done on the podcast for sure is making the off season not as miserable as it used to be. And now, yeah, it's fun as all heck.
It really is, man. If you know what to look for and if you really try to study the trends, that's what I try to do. I try to kind of dive into, okay, what happened last year that maybe didn't happen this year? And then, okay, how can we get ahead of the curve in this year's free agency, this year's offseason? Like in the past, cash over cap was the big thing. That seems to have cooled down a little bit, right? And teams are a little more, and every team's different. It just depends on, like I say that, and the Saints just converted $40 million into signing bonus, right, for Derek Carr to be able to free up some cap. But every team's a little different. Every offseason's a little different. And the big thing that I don't want to say worries me about this free agency, but it's definitely it kind of dulls things down a little bit, is last year you could see at the top, man, here are those dogs, right? Xavier McKinney was one that from the opening of free agency, we were like, go get this dude, go get him. And I didn't think there was a snowball's chance in hell that they'd do it. And then all of a sudden, Packers were linked to him. Seemed like an hour later, we're going live. Xavier McKinney signed with the Packers. Same thing with Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs kind of, once they couldn't work out that extension or that restructure, what have you, new deal, I guess you could say, with Aaron Jones, man, Josh Jacobs came out of nowhere. Right.
Well, remember there was that like 30 to 45 minute period where we thought we had Jones and Jacobs and we were like, oh yeah.
It's funny too, because it never was a thing, but because we didn't see behind the scenes what was actually happening, we made it a thing, right? Like we're going after Josh Jacobs. Holy cow, Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones together. But really what happened was Aaron Jones and the Packers couldn't bridge that gap. So Goody immediately shifted his focus to Josh Jacobs. And I don't want to say that we were upset over that. I do remember me saying 5,006 times, if we get 2022, Josh Jacobs will be fine. If we get 2023, Josh Jacobs, we're screwed. Obviously, we got better than 2022 Josh Jacobs, I think. I mean, what a dog he ended up being. So you got to tip your cap to Goody on that one. But yeah, it was funny though. We were thinking we had the best backfield in pro football. It did not last. Is there anything you want to open with before we kind of dive into what we're going to cover this morning? Anything at all at the forefront of your mind?
A little bit. It's just, I don't want to rehash old wounds or whatever, but I just came across a stat that I thought was insane with all the talk about Aaron Rodgers and where he may land and the Vikings and all that. ML Football came out with just a a post that said, insane. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers' touchdown to interception ratio from 2018 to 2022 was 136 to 15. 136 to 15. And then goes on to say that's probably something we'll never see again, which that is insane. Like,
yeah, no, it is a wild statistic. And I think that's why many people were frustrated that we didn't get more Super Bowls, is because Aaron was playing lights out most of the time. Now, he wasn't perfect. There was times that obviously he made his mistakes too, or maybe he held the ball when he should have, hey, let's try to fit that in there. But yeah, it was a wild time when you look back on it. And that's why I try to focus on the positive most of the time when it comes to the Aaron Rodgers talk. But, everybody was running victory. You've got three portions of the fan base. You've got one part of the fan base that Aaron Rodgers can do no wrong. Mm-hmm. You've got another on the extreme that he can't do anything right. And then right in the middle where I feel like we are is kind of, hey, here's the facts. Here's what actually happened. And, I don't know, man. The people that are on the extreme of they hate Aaron Rodgers, it's, yeah, boy, we got over on the Jets, which is true, right? We came out better in that deal. As soon as the player's off the team, I don't look at it like, what are they doing over there? You know what I mean? I look at it like, okay, did this really work out for us? I've got to be honest. It didn't necessarily work out for us either. Some people were going, will this get us over the hump, moving on to Jordan Love and kind of creating this new culture, I guess you could say? Or will we fall flat on our face? It kind of landed right in the middle. We're kind of right where we were when Aaron was here too, And then the argument shifts to, well, we're paying Jordan much less, way less money. No, we're not. That's the other thing that was on the forefront of my mind, is like, you're I don't want to say you're wasting it, but you wasted, you sat him on the bench for the 2 or 3 years, however long it was, 4 years that Jordan was on the bench. That was the rookie contract. And the second you shift focus to him being the starter, guess what? You're right back up to Aaron Rodgers' money. His cap hit's actually, higher than Aaron's when you look at the average annual, of course, now. So, but that's the price you pay. It's kind of like the conversation we had yesterday with Rashawn Gary. Like, if you're going to take one of those top players, you're going to have one, you got to pay the price, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's where the decision's got to be made. Do you want to go ahead and move on? Do you want to, try to hang on and see if you can get another year or two out of them, that type of thing. So, yeah. Overall, I think it was the right move, because at some point you've got to move on, right? You got to move on from Aaron. But the people that pretend like, yeah, see, that was the right move, boys, we haven't gotten as far with Jordan as we did with Aaron those last few years. Obviously, make it to the NFC Championship. So that's why I kind of fall somewhere in the middle. I really like Jordan Love, man. I think the way he carries himself, there's no more of that bickering with the media and all that,
Mm-hmm.
and that is really refreshing. It is. So,
yeah. Could I highlight one player that I just can't help but want to highlight, just because every time I've been looking into him, he gets more and more intriguing. Tight end room is not something necessarily that is a need for us, but there has been talks where if the right player is available, that we might take a stab at that. Obviously, hey, look who's awake. Musgrave hasn't necessarily been the player that we hoped he would be. Tucker Kraft, I think, has surpassed what I expected out of him. So kind of middle of the road there with the 2 picks that we had. A guy named Aronde Gadsden II. I've mentioned him briefly before, but he is a tight end out of Syracuse, 6'5", 243. He's got an elite wingspan of 81 and 6'8". He's got a 40 of 4.55, by far the best 40 time of any of the tight ends that ran. And he's a previous receiver that switched to tight end his sophomore year, had a bit of an injury in 2023, but came back and set records at Syracuse for the tight end position. And he just seems like the type of player that if Goody wanted to take a little, I don't know, maybe 4th or 5th round, Draft Buzz has him ranked the 10th overall tight end. But the more I dive into him and look at what he can do, he's a really agile, athletic tight end. He's not great at blocking, but that's not necessarily what I think we'd bring him in to do. And we could hopefully improve that. But man, I just really like that dude for where we could possibly get him. If, like I said, in the 3rd or maybe even 4th, it would be cool to line him up. He's a burner, man. 4.55 at 6'5", 240. If we put a few more pounds on him, I mean, anyways, that's just one of my draft crushes that I wanted to highlight again.
Yeah, and I kind of look at Fanning that same way, right? Like now with Gadsden, we've got him in the 100 spot on our big board. Now we're lacking a lot of information there. Did he have a complete RAS, Jacob, by chance?
I haven't seen it yet. I
Okay,
think that we have enough measurables that we should be able to plug it in, though.
Yeah, the problem is, do you have the 40 time? Do you have all that? I can actually go to RAS and double check, but he's sitting in the 100 spot right now for us. So,
Okay.
if you go based off of where we're picking, you would think third round pick 87 would be a little bit of a reach. But if he falls to pick 123, that's awesome value, right? So you got to kind of make a decision. Do you want to reach a little bit, make sure you get him, or do you want to kind of roll the dice and wait a little later? If you were to grab someone like Gadsden, who's technically a tight end, but you can line him up on the boundary, you can play him out wide like a big wide receiver at 4.5 40. I mean, guys, that's, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say that's right in the range of Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb was like 4.4 to 4 to or upper 4.5s, with all the clockings, I guess you could say. I want to say he peaked at just under 4.5, but most of his 40 times were like, mid 4.5s. So if you can get someone with Randall Cobb's foot speed at 6.5, that might be a good little substitution, maybe alternate, if you do miss out on some of these bigger name wide receivers here in the draft. So it's a great way of looking at it for sure. I'm going to go to RAS. We got Tim joining us here now. Tim, buddy, I woke up this morning and obviously the clocks and everything changed, and I went, why are my eyes so heavy? I could not get them open. Oh, yeah, that's right. We lost an hour, didn't we? So.
Good morning.
Hope everyone enjoys their extra hour of daylight, but I would much rather just kind of stay on schedule and keep rolling along. I've got headlights on the truck. I've got I'm gonna piss Emilio off. I got Ryobi spotlights that I can use. Okay,
Whoa.
So it is what it is. Tim, how you doing, man?
I'm awake.
I'm
Give me a little. I got the jitter juice going. Just give me a minute.
I got you.
I see we're already talking about tight end though.
You know it, man. You know it. Looking at Gadsden's RAS, Jacob, all we've got right now is the left side. So we've got it's showing him at 6'4", his weight 243, his vertical jump, we got that at 34 inches. That gave him a 7.45. His broad jump, it says 906. It was a 5.28. So he's not measuring that well. Like at the pace he's going, and the 40 would probably help him with his size, obviously, right? He would probably score in the nines if he did indeed run a 4.5 40. It looks to me like, based off of his size, if he ran as fast as we think he could run at the tight end position, he'd probably finish somewhere in the 8s. Is my guess. But if he crushes the agility test too, he could finish in the 9s. But right now, just based off what we've got here in the system, it kind of looks like it would be somewhere around probably between a 6 and a 7 right now, based off everything we got. That makes sense. It's a composite size grade says okay. Composite explosion grade is good. So not horrible, but yeah, if he regardless, man, you catch the football and you got 4.5 speed, to me, that makes you very, very valuable at the tight end position, especially in our current
His
This
compare
is Fannin Jr. we're talking about.
No, it's Gadsden.
Oh, Gadsden. Okay.
Yeah. Now Fannin obviously is. I'm pretty sure he's much higher on our board. That's what I kind of mentioned to Jacob. Like if receivers do start to fall and tight ends start to fall alongside them, I thought we had Fannin higher. Maybe we didn't. Maybe I was wrong there. Let me see. Yeah, there he is. We've got him in the 58 spot. And the Packers did meet with him. And somebody pointed out, it was Stacey Dales at the Combine. I mentioned this the other day. She was on the sideline at the Combine and talking about Harold Fannin Jr. They said, we're consistently talking about Travis Hunter winning the Heisman and playing receiver and the numbers he had. And she compared Harold Fannin Jr.'s numbers receiving to Travis Hunter's. And it was like, whoa. Everybody was like, hey, slow down a minute. Like Harold Fannin Jr. seems to be the real deal out of Bowling Green. Now, if he had
he's barely 21, he's barely 21 years old.
If
Just saying,
Goody DiCaprio, if you had put him at Ohio State or Georgia, or you know what I'm saying, and he has those same numbers, we're talking about him being above Ty Warren. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? Like that's legitimate. That's the only thing that's really bringing him down is his blocking obviously isn't quite there, with Ty Warren, but also playing for a smaller school. So So Turtle says, can't wait for free agency tomorrow. He said, hope y'all stream around that time. So I was going to kind of keep this to myself, but I know there's people asking, are you going to go live during free agency like you did last year? I would love to do that. There's just several things going on. Mandy's mother is having triple bypass surgery tomorrow. So we're having open heart surgery. So she's going to be at the hospital all day. I'm going to be out working a little bit and bouncing back and forth to the hospital. So it's going to be damn near impossible for me to be able to go live in the middle of the day. Now, if everything goes absolutely great and she's just resting and I got everything done at work and everything falls into place, I promise you I'll go live, and appreciate your interest in that. So Turtles, it was a lot of fun last year, wasn't it, Tim? Just all of a sudden this guy got signed, bang, let's go live and just get on here and talk ball. So Judy said, back to the Aaron Rodgers thing. There's also the argument we should have moved on from Aaron Rodgers a year earlier because we could have gotten potentially 3 first-rounders for him. Yeah, I don't think we would have gotten 3 first-rounders, Drew, personally. You guys know how that goes. Like, the early rumors typically don't equal what you would have gotten. It's DK Metcalf talk, right? We want a first and a third, and everybody in the league's rolling their eyes, right? Like, is that really going to happen? But I will say this, the fact that we gave him that big contract, right, and then cut him loose 1 year later was just absolutely insane. And I'm still amazed at again, different sides of the spectrum. One side, Aaron Rodgers was selfish for doing that. He should have never done that. He held their feet to the fire, blah, blah, blah. I'm going, you're not going to blame Goody for that at all? Like, Goody didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? Goody could have went ahead and traded him and moved on, but he kind of, I don't know, man. It was kind of the worst of both worlds in that whole situation there. But at least we did get a pick or two.
At least we got to fleece the Jets to make them look stupid.
Right. That's like the only consolation prize that we have, right? Is like, yeah, well, we burned the Jets, but that's like saying you beat a fat kid in a foot race. You know what I'm saying? It's like, let's be honest, there's not a whole lot there. Drew D in the chat says tight end Terrence Ferguson from Oregon had a great combine and could be a good later option. You got anything on him, Jacob Ferguson? I'll see if I can pull him up on our
yeah.
here.
Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon. He's 6'5", 247. Decent 40, 4.63. Really good vert. He had a great 10-yard split. Broad jump was pretty good as well. Looks like the knock on him again would be not a great blocker, but willing, just not great. Decent hands, good at intermediate to short routes. Not much of a deep threat necessarily, but it can do it. So I like Terrence Ferguson. I just think that, that might be one that he slips a little bit, which is fine with me. You guys know I love my bargain bin. So
go ahead, Tim. What'd you
I
get?
was just going to say, is he on our board?
Yeah, we've got him in the 132 spot on our big board. The thing that's bringing him down the most is at the end of the year, the consensus big board had him at 153, and the PFF big board had him at 142. In terms of PFF grades, he was the 78th highest graded tight end in 2023. Then he jumped all the way to 28th in 24. The 33rd team, Kyle Krabs, had him 121 on his big board. Dane Brugler had him at 98, and he did score the maximum, 5-point RAS bonus there from the combine. So Daniel Jeremiah did not have him in his top 50, obviously. So if Daniel Jeremiah has him within his top 100, he'll climb a little bit more. But yeah, right now we've got him in the 132 spot, and that would kind of put him in between the 4th and the 5th round pick for us, somewhere in that range there. So we'll keep an eye on whether or not his draft stock rises or falls. Here's some kind of latest news around X from Ian Rappaport. Headlines from Saturday: quarterback Sam Darnold not expected to re-sign with the Vikings. We covered a lot of this yesterday. Just a quick little recap in case you missed the show. To re-sign with the Vikings, Sam Darnold not expected to do that. Rumors are it could be Seattle. Was there another team mentioned? Am I thinking right? Or was it just Seattle that's been linked to him right now? Trying to think, or was it even Seattle? Who was it that was linked to Sam? Do you guys remember?
Yeah, it was Seattle.
Okay. I don't know if I dreamed that or not with those 4 hours of sleep we got.
Yeah, I've seen reports that like it's basically a known secret that they've already almost got a deal done with Darnold.
Well, that's a no. I thought the tampering period starts tomorrow.
You don't say that.
You don't say that.
Yeah, the whole tampering thing is just silly, man. That's just like the whole, the whole Tom Brady and
Stafford.
yeah,
Oh,
and
Oh,
immediately
hey,
we're
how
on
you
the
doing? I
same
didn't know you were
mountain.
going to be here.
right, and immediately people are like, well, they granted permission. It's like the rules are still the rules. Like they could, whether they told them to, hey, you can go talk or not. Like I don't know. It's just so silly. Like, why even have a rule if you're going to allow people to break it? That's kind of like the whole holdout thing. Now it's the hold in, right? Like,
Yep.
stand firm. You know what I mean? Stand firm on your rules. I'm all about rules, and you guys know me. I'm like, I am anti-government. Oh, we just got dinged, right? Very like, hey, why don't we get the smartest people in society together and let's just kind of take care of each other and do the right thing and just, unfortunately, as Thomas Paine wrote, I'm paraphrasing. When you're a bunch of, excuse my language, when you're a bunch of dumbasses in society, you're going to have government because we can't take care of one another. That's basically what he's saying. But anyway, second on the list, Derek Carr is sticking around in New Orleans, obviously converted the contract. Ronnie Stanley, we haven't talked much about this. He's staying in Baltimore. And Diana Rossini had an interesting tweet. She just said, one of the reasons Ronnie Stanley chose to forego free agency, he will be receiving $22 million per year in the first 2 years of his 3-year extension. All right. So that's we talk about, why would a player not go into free agency? He might have still gotten 22 per year on average, but it's the money he's getting up front to kind of sweeten the deal. That way, if they do move on, okay, he's got a lot in the pocket and they can maybe try to take one more dip before he hangs up as a career. So just little things like that go along with free agency and why teams are able to sign a player, keep a player, as opposed to them testing the market. And that's what we were kind of saying with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs last year. Like, why not go to them early? If you really like them as a player, if you can go to them, a year or two early and offer them less than what the market suggests, but more guaranteed money, you can get a much lower cap hit because you really like those guys in your system and you're not paying them $25, $30 million. Now you're getting up against the gun. If Rome goes out there this year and he has a baller year, let's say he finishes.
I just caught the ball.
Let's say he finishes with, 1,000 or 1,100 yards. Guess what? That number is now between 20 and 30 million for Romeo Doubs, as opposed to you potentially getting him for 10 or 12 million per, because you went to him early. But it is somewhat of a gamble too. It is. Let's see, Hollywood back to KC. That's Hollywood Brown. Obviously, I think they looked up with some of the legal issues and things. Which, by the way, we mentioned it on when the news broke. It was Xavier Worthy, right?
Yep.
It sounds like charges have been dropped. Is that right? Is that what everybody else is hearing?
That's what I heard, which is why I said what I said yesterday. Don't everybody jump to conclusions too fast. You don't know the whole story until they finish investigating. So yeah, it looks like they're not going to charge him.
Yeah. So now it doesn't mean that the league won't punish him, right? We've seen that in the past, but yeah. So as of right now, nothing legally. Which I got to be honest with you, I don't like that either. Like, you didn't legally do anything wrong, but you know what I'm saying? But your employer is going to punish you. I don't know how y'all feel about that. It's kind of a sensitive subject, but I guess it's kind of like running a household too, though. When you look at the opposite side of the spectrum, like you got a kid that's living at your house. They might not have done anything illegally, but they did something you didn't agree with. You can see
your house, your rules, right? Yep.
Yeah, and when that happens, whether there's legalities involved or not, you're going to break this out. At least we did in my household. You know what I'm saying? That's
yeah.
Many a times I heard that belt jingle out of the jeans. I went, uh-oh, here we go. Get ready to go.
You're looking around and go, I could have swore there was an extension cord on that counter before.
Right.
Mine was
extension cord.
Mine was the wooden spoon or the plastic spoon. You could hear it unsheathed from like the other spoons. You're like, oh no. What do you think about this comment quick from number one Packer fan? It says, we keep thinking Rodgers to Vikings, but remember they have JJ who's waiting to play and has allegedly said that he'll leave if they make another deal with Darnold. I don't think JJ McCarthy has the ability to just leave.
Yeah, I don't think
that's not a thing.
I'm leaving. No, you ain't, Hoss. We got you for 3 years.
Yeah, you're going to retire before you play a down of football in the NFL? Go ahead.
Yeah, and JJ was a first-round pick, so they've actually got him for 4 years. They got the 5th-year option if they want to slap that on him too. So, yeah, I haven't heard of that, but Chris saying wooden spoon, man, we need to do a power ranking of the things we've been whooped with as a kid. You know what I mean? That's what we need to do, a power ranking.
I grew up outside, we had a weeping willow tree out front.
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen those? Talk about pick a switch, man. That thing is got some whoosh to it.
That is. That's like Yeah, that's like a legit whip. For real.
It's like-
Mine, it was the race car track. You remember the little race car tracks you pieced together?
Mhm.
You know what I'm talking about? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You mean that orange track where they
Talking about flexibility, baby. Hey, I remember playing with putting it back together. Had to put it back together myself, and I never looked at it the same. It's like you betrayed me watching the little car. But all right, so there's your kind of roundup on some of the things that was going on around the league. You had a couple, or at least one marked in here, Jacob. Here we go, Tesla, right? Is that how you say his name, Tesla? Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
All right, cool. I'll pull our board up real quick. If you guys want to fire away on prospects, and if we've got them on our board, we'll let you know where we've got them at. I'll go ahead and share our board. This wasn't in the plans, but I'm cool with the conversation going in this direction. So Tesla on our board is actually really low, as you can see here. We've got Isaac Tesla currently at 461. Now, the reason being is the PFF grades. And I mean, really, it's everything. Let's just talk about it. In 2023, he was the 706th graded wide receiver in college football. In 2024, he was 305th. The PFF big board had him at 231 at the end of the year. The consensus big board had him at 728. All right. So if I were to just to play around with it here, if I were to delete that right there, okay, he's going to go from a grade of 416 to 263. So you see how much he would jump up. He would jump up kind of into the 6th or 7th round there, probably just outside of the 7th round still. But that's the difference in where the consensus big board had him at the end of the year. Again, I'm not going to change that number because I want to know what people thought of him at the end of the college football season, and not just, oh yeah, this guy's. You can literally go to the charts on the consensus big board, and you'll see where they were ranked. And then all of a sudden, one day they just go boom up 300 spots. It's like, what the hell happened? So that's where we got Tesla right now out of Arkansas. And by the time we get all the other information with the 33rd team's big board, Dane Brugler, all that stuff, that could change significantly.
I mean, he's 6'4", 217, so he's got that going for him.
And you got he scored in the 9s, right? RAS. So that helps a lot.
His vert was 91st percentile. Broad was 92nd percentile. I'm starting to like this guy more and more. He just seems like he's a kind of no-nonsense footballer. He's got that sweet Kentucky waterfall coming down, a little mullet action. I mean, what more could you ask for? And also, I didn't know this, but it said that, he accepted the offer from Arkansas after he got offers from Arkansas, after he got offers from Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, Iowa, and Wisconsin. So he was highly recruited.
Yeah. Mike Hebring in the chat says, I'm not giving up on LVN just yet. Look at Trey Hendrickson's development. He didn't start performing until year 4 or 5. Maybe bring in Hendrickson to show LVN the way. I'd be all about adding Hendrickson to the team. Yeah. Yep. And yeah, that's the other thing is like, you got to take into consideration the coaching too. You know, like LVN's first year, he's in a 3-4 he went from a 4-3 at Iowa, right? Mm-hmm. And playing inside a little bit. He's playing on the edge too, but played, a lot of 3 and 4 tech. He goes from playing at 4-3, has to learn how to play stand-up outside linebacker in the 34 under Joe Barry with Jason Rebrovich. No, not Jason Rebrovich. Yeah, Jason Rebrovich as his pass rush coach, right? And then year 2, they shift focus to, all right, let's make Jason Rebrovich just the defensive line coach, right? And let's bring in Jeff Hafley and run a 4-3 defense. A 4-3 cover 3 is essentially what we switched to.
And then LVN goes back to hand in the dirt, and yeah.
So it's
snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
You know what kind of, what do you say, physical toll they can have on them? So, yeah, and on top of that, forget the scheme change. How good is the actual position coach? That matters too, Like, you're not going to find a player who's more physically gifted than LVN. Like, that dude he's a monster. He's fast. He's strong. He's got all the measurables you're looking for. You got to develop moves and counter moves, and we don't know how much the coaching staff was actually saying, hey, look, you need to have 4 pass rush moves. It might have just been, look, what we need you to do in the 3-4, set the edge. Let's focus on setting the edge. And then last year it was, hey, here's what we need you to do. We're going to run a lot of ETs with you. So I need you to blast inside, keep your eye on the A gap, and take those 2 blockers with you. So, Chuck, Chuck Goodman in the chat says, agree, LVM's development was slow by changing positions. So it definitely didn't help, that's for sure.
Yep.
And that happened to a lot of great players. Like, remember Aaron Campman? Aaron Campman was a dog in the 4-3. You switched to a 34. He looked like he was lost out there, and then he ended up shredding his knee, if I remember correctly. So,
I mean, kind of same thing with Preston. Just wasn't a good fit for what they tried to do.
Yep.
Too old for this says, remember Michael's plasma TVs?
Jam threw a Dundee at it.
They couldn't barely get through that scene. Jim and Pam kept losing it when Michael would. And if you want, you can put it right against the wall.
Right. Prince in the chat, changing schemes and heavy rotation. The heavy rotation thing is huge too, man. It is. That's, and people, it's amazing the portion of the fan base that does not want to hear, hey, well, if you give this person this many opportunities as opposed to what he actually got, or this many targets as opposed to what he actually got, the numbers would have been here. It's like, well, I don't want to hear that. Okay. I'm just saying, like, that's the whole DK Metcalf thing. DK's a great football player. But man, if you're going to bring him in and his targets are going to go down 25 to 30 targets, and he finishes with 750 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns, why are we paying him $30 million a year? That's the part that, now if you shift the focus and go, all right, we're going to force feed him the ball like they did Jamar Chase and give him, I think Jamar Chase got like 170 targets or something crazy.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. You can go that route and you can inflate those numbers, right? But where did the Bengals finish? Somebody remind me? Because that's the goal, is to win the whole damn thing.
They didn't even make the playoffs, did they?
I don't know if they did or not. Yeah, I think they might have missed the playoffs. So when you go
playoffs,
boy, the numbers look good, but that's not a recipe for winning championships. It's just not. Like even AJ Brown. AJ Brown is kind of that one of those top 3, top 5 receivers that you look at and go, Philly's got AJ Brown. Right. Look at his numbers. They didn't try to force feed him the ball to the point where he was pissed at times. Remember how there was all that bickering going on during the season? And then all of a sudden they win a ring. It's like, stick with the numbers, stick with what's going to win you ball games. And I know Packer fans get frustrated with that with LaFleur sometimes because he, quote unquote, takes his foot off the gas. But there comes portions in the game where it's no longer about, hey, let's try to push the ball down the field. It's, hey, we're playing the clock now. Let's make sure we don't turn it over, and let's just kind of bring this in for a nice, easy landing. That's part of the game as well. So,
yeah, a lot of times you're, 1 or 2 or 3 first downs away from just icing the game. And if you get greedy, that's when bad things happen. We've seen it countless times.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. This was a guy, Jacob, that we talked about early in the draft process that we really liked. Jeff Stone says, Clayton, the steal of the draft is Marcus Ware. Where is he at? He had great coaching in college. The O-line coach, Wisconsin boy, Al Johnson. Shout out to Al. We've got Ware in the 200 spot. And this is the reason. It has nothing to do with PFF because in 2023, he was the highest graded at his position. He does got the V, which means he is versatile. He can play all over that offensive line. Okay, so keep that in mind. In 2024, he was the 4th highest at his position. But at the end of the year, PFF had him 256. Consensus Big Board had him 302. So those 2 numbers are what's bringing him down on our board. I'm eager to see where Daniel Jeremiah puts him at, the 33rd team puts him at, and Dane Brugler puts him at when it's all said and done. Did he not go to the Combine, boys?
I do not believe he did, unless I'm mistaken. What's crazy, though, is that, talk about a guy that's graded out spectacularly. His 22 campaign was 81 flat, 2023, 93-2, 2024, 89-2. He had never let a sack allowed, and the whole time he was his whole college career, he allowed 2 hits and only 7 hurries that whole time. He played right tackle the first 2 years, decent amount of snaps, and then finished his college campaign at right guard with over 900 snaps. You look at his games, he doesn't have a bad game. The lowest he scored in 2024 was a 59.9. Like that's the absolute worst. Most of them are 80s, 70s, high 60s.
Yeah, and in terms of his RAS, the only thing we got's height and weight, and it's not good. He was 6'2", 298, both scored in the 2s. So hand size is 8.38, and his arm length was 32.38. So it's an incomplete RAS, but doesn't look good. So again, we're the only thing, if we remove the PFF grades, we would go, this guy ain't nobody, right? But the fact that his PFF grade was so high, and he has that V for versatility, that I think that really increases his value. Tim, do you got anything on him? Is there anything that you want to say about Weir here? I don't know, man. I remember us drafting him a lot early, but it was because he had high PFF grades, right?
Yeah, Montana State Bobcats. I tell you, I wouldn't feel terrible if he was, like a 6th or 7th round, guy that you're grabbing late in the draft to, add some depth. Maybe if you missed on O-line earlier, I wouldn't have a problem. But yeah, I'm not extremely excited about him. But I do think that he's going to end up in the league for sure. It's just a matter of where he's going to go. I just don't see anybody aggressively pursuing him.
I agree, man. Completely agree. Here we go. Drew D, do you think hiring that West Virginia coach makes it more likely we draft West Virginia players? Maybe.
I hope so.
He was a linebacker coach and a special teams kind of assistant or coordinator, right? Am I thinking right? We read that article the other night on the air.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Drew.
I don't know why Malum's going to be 24.
Hey. I love Wyatt Malum. I think he's one of my favorite offensive linemen in the draft. He's got short little T-Rex arms, but besides that,
hey, that's all right. So they said that about Bakhtiari too.
Yes, they did.
Let's walk through and look at the West Virginia players. All right, on our board in the 55 spot, we got Wyatt Malum, who Drew mentioned. He's definitely the highest rated. Next in the what is that? My eyes are getting bad. 143 spot, their quarterback, Garrett Green. All right. Then in the 435 spot, Austin Brinkman. Get ready for this, guys. We got a long snapper on the board. All right.
Here's the guy.
Yeah. So not looking good on the ranking, though, obviously coming in there at the 435 spot. And then Sean Martin. These are somewhat incomplete profiles on our board, obviously. In the 474 spot, defensive lineman out of West Virginia, was at the East-West Shrine Bowl. PFF 24, his grade, he was 729th on defensive line. 5th on this list of West Virginia Mountaineers. In the 475 spot, Garrett Hollis, cornerback.
Who?
He was 822nd at his position, but the consensus big board had him at 261. And then, of course, in the 508 spot, we got Nick Malone, not to be confused with Kevin Malone, offensive lineman from West Virginia. The Packers actually met with him, though, so that's interesting.
Kevin Malone?
Yes, they did. They said,
yes. He actually is a diehard Packer fan. Do you know that?
We're looking for a new chili to serve at Lambeau this year. Give us hands. So, yeah.
It's what I do best.
Like Drew mentioned here, though, Wyatt Malum definitely being the highest rated player out of West Virginia. There could be a link there, Drew, a little something. I know it doesn't hurt. Like if they want to go in and get some extra information, he's got connections at West Virginia. Just let him get hold of his old buddies down there at West Virginia and give us the scoop on Wyatt Malum, I like Malum in the right spot, 54 seems perfect, at least according to our board here. We've got him in the 55 spot. So in the second round, if he's sitting there and you already addressed something else in the first round, let's go grab us an offensive lineman. We got an offensive tackle / left tackle. So it sounds like that's where he predominantly played, was left tackle, Wyatt Malum. So
what? I know Tim has brought up this gentleman, a guy named Willie Lampkin. Just basically a human bowling ball. He's 5'11", 290, but he's graded out very well at his time at North Carolina. 2022, 71-70, 2023, 76-2, and this last year, almost 900 snaps, 85-6, was ranked the 5th best guard in college football. Mm-hmm. Do you see that size being a problem going into the NFL? Is there precedent for many starting guards being 5'11"? That just seems.
It depends on the reach too, but yeah, I don't think it's just about reach either. You know what I mean? Like, if someone's that short, I mean, who in the league right now is an offensive lineman?
Right.
Forget starting, forget Pro Bowl caliber, all pro caliber, just in the league. How many?
What's funny is I think the reason I brought him up, Jacob, was because looking at the versatility factor, guard, center, played right guard, played center, played left guard. Yeah. And now I'm sitting there wondering if it's not versatility, if they were just trying to figure out where the hell they can play this guy.
Yeah, Draft Buzz has him listed at 5'10", 270. His arm length is in the 17th percentile. Span is in the 21st. He's got the weight in the. He's the bottom of the barrel in height and weight, arm size, wingspan, and the only thing that's pulling him up whatsoever is he had a decent 40 time of 5.2.
Draft him and let's turn him into a fullback.
But it's crazy though. They have his pass blocking and run blocking at 94% and 90%, as if like he's legit. Like even PFF agrees he played it very, very well. But I don't know how that size and statures translates into the NFL. Yeah,
I think it's a real thing, man. It sounds, you guys know how I am. Like, if a player can play, I'd much rather go off the tape than the size and the measurables and everything. Like, you can get these Greek gods out there, and if they're not good at the game of football, they're going to suck regardless. But at some point, as a fan, I've got to step back and go, all right, man, there's a reason there's nobody this size in the league. We got Willie Lampkin in the 304 spot, but we have little to no information on him. The only thing we really got is the consensus big board had him at 207 at the end of the year, which isn't that bad, to be honest with you. Now, I will say this. If I delete this off here real quick, he disappeared. I was trying to get you guys a little bit better view of it, but I don't know if you can see it or not, but you see right here, he does have the wrestling emoji.
Yes,
so
he does
have a wrestling background, and that is something that's typically transfers over really, really well to the NFL.
Yeah, that's pretty high on him. They got him fifth guard, 127 overall. So
do you think like he could be one of those?
Let's get those numbers real quick, Tim. So you're saying the PFF big board has him?
Big board has him at 127. And then they have him, he graded out last year 85.6. They're saying he's the 5th out of 639 guards.
5th is in 5, right?
5, yep.
Wow. All right. 5th.
Says size is certainly concerning and could regulate him back to center, where he has played just one game over the past 2 seasons. His technique and determination should give him a chance to prove his worth in the NFL. So,
does it show his 2023 grade by chance where he ranked or no?
I do not have
2023. Okay.
Gotcha. 2023 was 27th.
Really? Holy cow. We may have found one here, boys. That's
2022 was 38th.
38th. All right, let's put it in. So now, with that being said, on our board, it gives him a score of 77.8 at that size. That's crazy. Is a team really going to – like, I feel like we should do something. I feel like we should do like an Oompa Loompa emoji or something just so we know, hey, guys, this dude's kind of small.
2022 grade was 38th, not 23rd.
Oh, 38th. Here,
yep.
Mandy says I do that stuff all the time, and I just make things up along the way. All right, 80.8 is what the grade ends up being. So if we sort now, right, and go back to old Lampkin, he's now in the 100 spot on our board. That's wild. We'll leave it there, but I'll probably forget. But there's got to be something we got to put in there. Like, I almost want to go like right here and just go US for undersized. You know what I mean? Something like that. I don't know. Let's just take it off. Let's don't discriminate here. We're gonna get
put up like a clown emoji or something. I don't know. Like he's laughably small.
The worrying emoji, right? Like, something wrong here. Got it. All right, cool. Anything else you what about an AFAM emoji? It's a family program, so we can't do that. Cool. I like that. Here you go. That's the AFAM emoji right there. It really is. Oh,
there you go. Hey.
All right. Anything else y'all want to hit, boys? I think we can wrap it up there unless y'all want to stretch it into a double episode. We covered quite a bit here, but y'all want to go another 40 minutes or no?
When are we doing a defense only mock draft?
Jake, sir. This is called peer pressure right here, boys. That's what this is. You know what? That's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all.